Hi, everyone. Welcome to GAC. My name is Hannah. I'm the Chamber Services Coordinator at the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce. We'll get this rolling here in just a couple of minutes. I think Tara's having some technical difficulties.
I just sent a message to Representative Jacobsen. Thank you, Hannah. My apologies. I'm not sure if I'm echoing on my phone. I'm certainly echoing to me.
You're not echoing anymore for us.
Oh, fantastic. Well, good morning. Thanks, Hannah, for jumping in there. I have three microphones that have asked me to test, and I don't know why none of them are working. But good morning. We're happy to have Representative Jacobsen, who's got a very full plate lately, I'm sure. But I'm happy that she had a little space in her calendar today to give us a legislative update. I sent many of you what are deemed bad labor bills that are still floating around out there with the AWB, and I think there was a Grocers Association, a BIAW sign-on, the AGC Washington chapter as well. So I just try to share those as things are getting condensed. You know, initially there's so much information to take in, but if your industry is you know, keeping an eye on any of those particular bills, and it's anything you want us to elevate with additional letters, additional testimony, anything we could do at this stage, you know, that's certainly why one of the reasons we have these GAC meetings is to bring attention to the rulemaking that's happening at our state level. So with that, thank you, Representative Jacobsen. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to you. And let us know what's been going on in your world. Thanks for fighting a good fight.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on that House bill or Senate Bill 5217 on ergonomics is, as far as I know, still alive, and it may come back to the House. It's been passed through and it's ready to just jump in on the House, and we never know what we're going to get. So that is a troublesome bill because it would create workforce regulations. I'm hearing echoes. Workforce regulations that we don't want, that puts L&I in a position of mandating how people are going to do their jobs. And the voters voted against a similar thing earlier, and you know, there's no reason to bring it back. So, but broad brush, we are on fiscal cutoff today. That means that all the bills have to pass through appropriations. So that explains through the absence of Kelly Chambers, who's on appropriations, and Chris Gildon, who's on Ways and Means in the Senate. I didn't draw appropriations this year, so I am free this morning. And I am Cyndy Jacobsen from the 25th District Representative. And so we've already passed in the House the transportation and the capital budgets. And those were bipartisan, and we passed them. And I'm excited to say that the transportation budget contains funding for the Gateway project to not be delayed even. So super thrilled about that. That was just one reason to vote for it. You know, just that would have been almost enough. And there's no new taxes, no vehicle miles traveled there. So looking good. And the capital budget, it was also bipartisan. We've got a lot of stuff for behavioral health in there, $893 million for behavioral health, $847 million for K through 12, $704 million on housing, $710 million on infrastructure, and another $653 million on fish barrier removal and riparian restoration, which we have to do because of a court decision. So the capital budget, all good. We passed it. Last night, we spent a long time on the House floor debating the operating budget. So we've got three budgets: capital and operating and transportation. And the big debate was the operating budget, of course. Pulling that. I'll tell you a couple of bills that we're still looking at as well before I talk about the operating budget. Police pursuit, it was very dramatic. It was supposed to go to the Senate, and one of the committee chairs wouldn't take it. You know, there was a demonstration on the steps of the Capitol, and the Senate passed it without letting it go through committee. So we're waiting to hear about that in the House. It's a watered down version. Police pursuit, we want to have our police be able to pursue on a status of having reasonable suspicion as opposed to probable cause, which is the current law that we've had for the last 3 years, and it's been disastrous. So we would like to see that come up in the House. I think that our business owners should care about that because even as it's modified now in the Senate, it's still alive though. Even as it's modified now in the Senate, it doesn't allow police to pursue commercial burglary suspects. So that's troublesome. We'd like police to be able to pursue on a status of reasonable suspicion. I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope that the pursuit bill will get to the House and will at least pass the watered down version. So that is a piece of what I think is bad news. The operating budget, it's 70 billion, which is the highest one we've ever had. That's what we just keep doing. There is in the operating budget that we didn't have a lot of play because we had a lot of inflation costs to keep our standard level going. And looking where those numbers are. Well, we didn't have a lot of play. And so we didn't raise any particular new taxes in the operating budget. And that is wonderful in the House and same in the Senate. The REIT tax is an increase in the REIT tax. That's an increase. And I'm sorry, I got so many papers here. It appears to be dead, the REIT tax, which is a tax on excise tax on real estate sales over 5 million and a broader excise tax on everything that would purportedly be going to housing. But of course you can't tax housing and expect housing to get cheaper. That's just not how it works. So if you have a property over 5 million that's for multifamily housing and you're putting a huge REIT tax on it, then that's just problematic. So that appears to be dead. I'm on finance. We don't have any more meetings scheduled. So the REIT tax appears to be dead. The wealth tax also appears to be dead. They had a wealth tax scheme and that appears to be dead. So those are good things. And in housing, we were going to make this the session all about housing. The middle housing bill, which would allow duplexes in neighborhoods, appears to be alive in the Senate, but they're amending it. We had a lot splitting bill that was good. It's dead. Our permitting reform bills realize that $31,000 of the price of a new home is for permitting. They might still be okay. They've been voted out of appropriations and the vehicle is 5290. So though that might still be okay, permitting reform. 1337 in the Senate is still alive, and that's encouraging localities to develop rules surrounding ADUs and to allow for more ADUs. We've done a lot of workforce development in this budget. A lot of compacts with other states about nurses and people keeping their licenses if they come to our state. We passed a lot of those. But the budget in general, again, it doesn't raise taxes, but it takes a fund that we created during COVID. We have the rainy day fund, which has to have a 2/3 majority to pull out of it. And during COVID, there were rules to pull out of the rainy day fund with alternate means because COVID, we had a downturn because of the response. And so we pulled the money out of the rainy day fund and put it in sort of the shadow reserve account that only takes a 50% vote to pull. And so in our budget, it's a little troublesome. We are taking a couple billion out of that shadow reserve fund. So that was basically one-time federal funds that we sort of transferred out of our rainy day fund, and then we put in another account, and we're rating that. And that's why we're probably not having any more taxes this year, substantial ones. There's going to be a few. And so we did that to fund our budget. And we have a lot of inflation for teachers' salaries. And so the big debate last night on the budget was, you didn't include the Republicans, so we're voting against it, which we did. And they have 1,500 brand new projects, and they're spreading the peanut butter really thin on all these brand new, tiny little projects, any one of which might not be a big deal, but it's just a lot of spreading the peanut butter pretty thin. And so we ended up with this $70 billion budget, and it was made behind closed doors, and we didn't have a lot of influence. So that was some of the main objections to the budget last night from our side. And also the rainy day fund has just been decimated. We are well below the Democratic treasurer's recommendation of 10% in reserves, and we passed our budget without that. So that was pretty long and boring, and I'm sorry. I can't even see the Zoom squares to see the reactions. I've got the wrong computer open. So that, again, that was pretty long and boring. Anybody have any wonderments or questions?
There's not a lot of good news there.
I kind of thought there was, because I thought it could have been so much worse. Oh, another thing that's dead, as far as I can tell, we never say dead, but some of those rent control bills are dead. And that is a good thing, because we want housing to be provided, and we don't want to discourage housing providers.
But you said the lot splitting bill is dead, correct?
Yeah, it is.
That's too bad.
Oh, looking at Dennis, I can see him. The cities, we just passed out of the House, and I don't know where this is going or if it's going to continue, but we did pass out of the House a bill to allow municipalities to tax Airbnbs at an extra 10%. So that is swirling about out there, because Airbnbs are taking away from housing stock is the thinking. But they are.
Does it go into some sort of lodging tax now or fund?
No,
or no?
It wouldn't be like LTAC. LTAC is 2%, and it's a 2% match. This is a 10% just flat grab. And I just feel sorry for the Airbnb providers if the cities enact that. But that would have to be enacted by the municipalities. And again, the money goes to some sort of housing scheme to help with housing. And there's two general trains of thought about the housing. We can build more and put more government into it, or we can unravel some of the regulations and incentivize, permit reform, and incentivize, building in the urban growth areas and move out those boundaries and allow the private sector to do its job. And you know where I stand. So that's the two competing theories on the housing problem. And so this tax, which I don't know if it would even be enacted by the cities on the Airbnbs, would go into some fund that would do more of the former. So.
You may have said this. I had, again, a little audio issues, but the transportation bill, last I had heard, still looks good with no bonding, full funding, all of.
Right. The government's just on the housing, the governor's bonding isn't in any of the budgets that he talked about. The transportation budget, we haven't done any bonding on it. And we've, again, the big push from our side, and I think it was adopted, was to make sure that we stopped doing these unnecessary delays on our projects, because we've got to get that gateway project going. We've got to do what we promised. So.
And I know our legislative coalition was talking about a warehouse bill that was, I don't know, targeting it like Amazon and regulating quotas. Do you know much more about that?
I haven't seen that. I know that the ergonomics bill is still out there and it's troublesome. And I don't know if that is what you're thinking of, but it sounds like something else. And I haven't seen such a thing go through the House.
Okay.
Maybe dead.
Chime in with any questions, folks. I'm just going over my notes here.
Just know that nothing is ever really dead till Cyndy dies.
Okay. And your committees, did you say finance?
Yeah, finance I'm thrilled about. I'm working with a
Mhm.
veteran at Arcot that's been there for years. He knows every nuance of tax policy. I found my home in finance. I like it a
Oh,
lot.
good.
Yeah, and local government, which I also appreciate being on, and college and workforce development is a
Okay.
good one as well. And rules, of course. We were pulling right after our floor session last night at 10. We were pulling bills from rules. Got to pull one of Gildon's bills, so that was fun.
Any other questions from the participants here today?
Morning, Cindy. This is Diana Swartz, Daffodil Bowl and Fitness Quest here in Puyallup. You and I have chatted before. I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you on behalf of so many small business owners for everything that you're doing to help us. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Oh, thank you. I wish we had more influence, but I do think that being in person has given us more influence. I was ready after 2 years of Zoom to say, this just is not the job for me. But in person, you can make a bigger difference. So thank you for that kind words.
Sean, I guess from your sort of viewpoint, what kinds of things have you been watching through the legislative session, and also obviously anything port related? I can turn to you as well.
Sure. So I again want to express my appreciation to Representative Jacobsen and the entire Pierce County delegation for coming together in support of Pierce County's transportation priorities. And just, again, reminding folks, no, we made a commitment and we are going to get our projects done. Again, thrilled that the House budget provides a $263 million increase in funding for the Puget Sound Gateway to close that budget shortfall and to ensure that that project stays on track to be done in 2029. I had a conversation with the Puget Sound Gateway program manager yesterday, and he said that assuming that the budget passes through like that, they would be able to go to bid for stage 2 in this upcoming biennium, probably this summer. Stage 2, as a reminder, is that segment that goes basically from I-5 to Puyallup, so the big long one there. So feeling really good about that, feeling really good about finishing what we've started and providing the remaining funding for phase 2 of the Interstate 5 Port of Tacoma Road interchange, which is a critical last mile connector. And then we are also just grateful for investments that are being made in port decarbonization. Whether we like it or not, Climate Commitment Act, it's a reality. It's what's going to be there, at least for the foreseeable future. And so we've been of the mindset, it's like, okay, well, if we're going to have this and you're going to generate revenue, let's help the freight sector make that transition. Unfortunately, far too often we just sort of say, yeah, freight, the business community, they'll just figure it out on their own. And unfortunately, we are then left to incur those costs. So the House makes some really thoughtful investments. And for that, we are very grateful. Those are some of the biggest things that we've been paying attention to. It's been a lot of time in the budgets. Again, I just want to express my appreciation to Representative Jacobsen and all of the lawmakers from Pierce County for really stepping up to the plate and helping us out this session.
Echo that.
And I would say too that the Pierce County delegation was pretty firm on that, on getting the gateway and making sure we keep our promises. I would also say cap and trade, I forgot to say, it's just taking effect. And so at the end of February, about February 28th, we had an auction, and the cap and trade credits auctioned out at about $48 a ton. $48, not a ton, that's not the unit, $48 metric ton. And the EPA predicted it would be about half that, about $20 a metric ton. So, and there's some speculators in that market, and we don't know if that's going to continue, but we had predicted for diesel prices to be increasing about 47 cents a gallon. So we don't know what that what that increased auction prices would do to our diesel prices. And of course, every business relies on that. So we're concerned about that, and we hope that the next auction is not quite so high. But of course, then if we're going to do that, decarbonization, what else can we do? Because we've got to make sure that our businesses aren't, just decimated. So
one final thing I also wanted to express appreciation to the delegation on was coming together in support of capital budget. Oops, sorry about that. My dog is now going crazy. Capital budget funding for the Maritime 253 Skills Center. This is going to be a skills center that will be available for students throughout Pierce County interested in pursuing careers within the maritime sector. The House has a better number than the Senate. And so as they are going to conference, we are encouraging lawmakers to adopt the House position. What's really cool about that is that the Port of Tacoma and the Tacoma School District, which would be the host agency, but again, it's going to be open for students throughout Pierce County. We recently signed a interlocal agreement in which we basically said they can be able to locate on port property. We are right now in the process of designing a new maritime, I'll call it campus, where we want to build a new administration building. We would be able to co-locate the skill center, have public access, a number of really cool features. And so that investment by the legislature is something we're really excited about. So again, thank you to the delegation for your support of that.
Nice. Lots of gratitude coming your way. So who's Matthew Maurer out at Port of Tacoma? That's a new name to me.
Matthew is our local government affairs manager. And if he's on the call, Matthew, I don't know if there is anything local you would like to spend a moment referencing or not. And if not, that is okay too.
Hi,
we
good
love
morning.
putting people on the spot.
I was prepared to talk if I needed to, but I wanted to attend more often these. My name is Matthew, as Sean said. I am the local government affairs person for the Port of Tacoma. So manage the relationship that the port has with local jurisdictions within Pierce County. I do not have anything of note to say this morning, but I did want to introduce myself and I'll let you know I will be attending a little bit more often these as much as I can.
Great. Well, anytime you have something to tee up that you'd like to be kind of featured on one of these GACs, please reach out to me.
Will do. Thank you.
Otherwise, you'll just get called on. You'll just get called on randomly time to time.
I think Matthew has darkened the doors of some of our elected officials here from Sumner and Puyallup. If not, and you want to learn more about the port, please feel free to reach out to Matthew. He is more than happy to squire you around the tight flats and show you all the cool things that we do down here.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I want to make sure we're communicating the maritime offering to our community and the students in our community. So anything you can think of to plug us into that, happy to do so.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. Zach from MultiCare, is there anything that you're watching from your sort of vantage point in the healthcare system with any of these bills or during this legislative session?
Yeah, hang on, there we go. All right, hey everyone, Zachary with MultiCare here. Pretty tough session just overall for our end of things with healthcare, but definitely a few things have passed of note, including the compacts. Those are really big, especially the general community side of things. With Pierce County, we have a large, military population, as well as people moving into the state. So having that ability for people to come to the area as well as work right away is really big. As well as currently with hospital staffing challenges is still a thing. But that's there. It's kind of on the tail end of session. A lot of these bills from our end of things that would have made things a little bit worse. Luckily, have kind of faded away. So that's thankfully still there, but still a few things I'm sure other people have dealt with. The HR file law, nurse PTSD bill, a few of those other bills are still kind of kicking around and we're working on those. But locally, same things before. Thank you, Representative Jacobsen, for and the rest of the 25th delegation for the Gateway Project. That's a big help for our staff, commuting between Good Samaritan and Tacoma General, Allen Moore and Tacoma. So thank you for that. That's going to be a huge help for our operations in Pierce County.
Awesome. Look at that. Good job, Zach.
Thanks.
We have Christine from Puget Sound Energy. I don't know if there's anything you're watching, Christine. I'm also just taking advantage of making sure some folks on this call are aware of who your representatives are in the government affairs sectors of these different industries. So, you're hearing from the port, and we've got MultiCare, and we also have Christine from Puget Sound Energy here. If you want to just say hello real quick or anything to add. Mike is also not working properly. Fun stuff today, huh, with Zoom. Well, thanks for being here, Christine. Puget Sound Energy is always a great community partner. They do a great job with outreach to our elected officials and all kinds of industries. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more from Christine in the future. Why don't we? So Representative Jacobsen, any other thoughts or final comments or any questions for her?
We'll just keep working. Thank you.
Oh, we so appreciate you and are just so grateful that we've got the three of you going to bat for us in our area. Grateful. All right, well, let's poke into our county, if we will. I saw County Councilman Dave Morell is on the call, and would love to hear what we've got going on at Pierce County. Hi, Dave. I like your background there. Thunfield, I suppose.
You got it right, Sarah. Sunfield, and no, that's not my airplane, but
I was going to say, is that your personal?
Yeah. No, I'll just take Rod Weatherby's King Air. That one's a little bit more my style. But anyway, thanks for the opportunity to update everyone on what's happening in Pierce County government. We had a very long meeting 2 weeks ago. I think it's the longest council meeting on record. 7.5 hours. We tackled 3 very challenging issues, and we did end up passing the 0.1% for affordable housing in Pierce County. As everyone knows, affordable housing, or workforce housing, as I prefer to call it, is just so needed in our area, and especially within the urban growth areas. So we've been wrangling for a couple of years on how to approach it. We have dramatically reduced permitting costs. We've reduced impact fees. But it's just a challenge to get developers to develop that aren't nonprofits. And those nonprofit mission-based developers seem to concentrate on our urban areas and forget that Pierce County has a lot of suburban and unincorporated areas. So with these new dollars, which will generate about $20 million a year, we will push more projects out into our suburban and unincorporated areas, moving them out of Tacoma and Lakewood. So that's a good thing. We're teeing up one project that will offer 259 units, which 1/3 of them will be 3-bedroom units, and that's 60% AMI and below, area medium income and below. So, and that is a for-profit developer that is building that project. All the affordable housing in unincorporated Pierce County has been built by what we call mission-based profit developers. So we needed to make sure we included them in the process and didn't force regular contractors out in lieu of nonprofit developers. So we were able to navigate that and got that passed. Also, we passed the Pierce County Village funding. It's been an issue that's been kicked around for about 2 years. It is part of the funding from the American Rescue Act, and it is modeled after a community in Travis County, Texas, outside of Austin, that has serviced the chronic homeless community for 20 years now. It's a proven model. It runs 90% on private funds, which was a unique model within the homeless community. As you know, I think Seattle just peaked $1 billion that they have spent on the homeless over the last 4 years, with, I hate to say, little to show for it. So this model is a proven concept of restorative dignity. And when we looked at what we could do for our homeless community, Pierce County wanted to do more than sheds on a parking lot. So we traveled around and found this successful program, and the Tacoma Rescue Mission is going to manage it. And right now they are in a funding mode, and they will raise probably 60% private funds to match the county's investment into an 85-acre piece of property on the outskirts of Spanaway. So that is moving forward. Everyone knows, at least within the cities, that the comprehensive plan review and periodic update is moving forward. We were able to include in some amendments some of the cities who wanted to expand their urban growth boundaries. And so we're asking our cities if there's anything we can help with in that, since the county's taking the lead in the majority of that. We're also looking at new economic development corridors within unincorporated Pierce County. As you know, the EC and the industrial land in Pierce County is diminished considerably. And so how are we going to look at this at the next 20, 25 years as far as where we're going to place some of these developable properties within the UGA. So there's going to be some horse trading probably on that issue. One of the things that we were also able to do is we expanded the innovation grants that the county's economic development has been doing for the last couple of years. We expanded the innovation grants to small cities, 8,000 and below. That would include little cities like Buckley, Wilkerson, Ruston, Fordcrest, Eatonville. And we are offering them matching grants up to $40,000 for capital. This isn't operating cost, it's capital. If you need a new coffee roaster, we will pay 50% of that coffee roaster up to $40,000. If you want to put a new patio in on your restaurant, we will pay for that up to, there again, $40,000. But it is capital. So, if you know businesses within those small jurisdictions, or it's still available to anyone in unincorporated Pierce County, you could still apply for those grants. We have a little over $1.2 million left in that account that we've got to obviously spend down by the end of 2025 is what we prefer to do. So we've got some work left on that, but also some opportunities for businesses. And this includes, which I thought was kind of unique, even our contractors that live in unincorporated Pierce County have been picking up capital. We've got one it was a wood chipper. A tree company wanted to get a new wood chipper, so they applied and they were approved. And if they go buy one, then we will pay there again up to $40,000 our end on that to match. But the contractors haven't taken advantage of this. Maybe they don't know it, but if we have contractors that are in these small jurisdictions or in unincorporated, they can apply. And I don't care if it's a new trailer, new tools. I think they can qualify as well as brick and mortars. So with that, we are going to focus a lot on agritourism this year. My district encompasses most of the agritourism in unincorporated Pierce County. So we're going to really be focusing in on how we can make these farms sustainable. There's only 2 or 3 commercial farmers in Pierce County anymore. A lot of the farms are having to look at non-farming activities to, stay in business. So we will be looking at how Pierce County can help in the agritourism arena to make these small farms financially viable and now and into the future. So with that, I think that's pretty much the big items that are coming forward. We are going to, I think we had our opioid summit a week or 2 ago, and as you know, the jurisdictions are going to get settlement of tens of millions of dollars to invest into substance abuse programs, and that it will include, we'll need to form collaborative partnerships with all the cities to try and get a single focus and purpose to what we're going to use those settlement dollars for. So hopefully that'll be coming forward in the next 6-7 months, and then we'll have a global plan on how we're going to push out those dollars in Pierce County. So I think that's it. I appreciate again everything that our representatives do down in Olympia. We would get weekly updates as to the frustration and the lack of progress on both Blake bills, pursuit bills. It's very frustrating, as cities know and counties know that we are the ones that have to deal with these new laws that are mandated upon jurisdictions, and the county takes the brunt of it, especially when it comes to any social justice bills that come through. And like I say, our sheriff's department has felt the challenges there. I will say we have seemed to have turned the corner on being able to hire new deputies. We are, for the first time, starting to see our full-time employees within the sheriff's department going up. The challenge that we have is our corrections division that runs our jail is going down. So we have a challenge within our jail. So there you go. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to join everyone.
Fantastic updates. I actually have a few follow-up questions. I'm curious on your dramatically reducing impact fees and permitting fees to incentivize development. Do you have any examples of where you were at, where it was moved to, or kind of a model you followed with any of that?
The county took this on about 6 years ago, and I can get you all the policy and the itemized incentives that the county has. Of course, with any type of incentive, someone's got to pay for it.
Right.
So we put in the budget offsets. Obviously, school impact fees, we've got to reimburse the school districts, transportation impact fees, sewer hookup fees, those type of items. We reduce parking requirements. So we did a lot of cursory work to try and make it more appealing. For a couple of years, we weren't getting anyone to take the incentives. Just there was no real motivation to do workforce housing in unincorporated Pierce County. But I will get that to you.
Okay.
And we will, I think Representative Jacobsen also knows that there was a permitting bill that was submitted down in Olympia, didn't get very far, but it was modeled after Florida's new state law on predictability of permits, of the permitting process. And if you didn't meet the 90-day timeline, you actually had to reimburse a percentage of the permit fee until the permit was issued. And we're going to take a look at that. I have our department crafting a similar bill to see if we can get more predictability and guarantee on our permitting processes. All of our builders, I can care less where you build at, is the biggest frustration. How long will it take? How much will it cost to get through the process? So time is money. Markets change, as we know, and so we need to be on top of that. So we'll be seeing new policy come forward probably in the next 6 months.
Excellent. Representative Jacobsen, did you have a question for him as well, or comment?
Yeah, I think that Senate Bill 5290 on permit reform is still alive in some fashion. Also, Thunfield, there was some good news there. We worked pretty hard to get some improvements for Thunfield into the capital budget. It's not in the Senate version, so we'll see how that lands in reconciliation. So we did get some good capital things in the capital budget. So that was one of them. Thanks.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and that was great teamwork. The county was totally in awe that a representative actually asked them for a project funding. So a lot of firsts there. Thank you, Representative Jacobsen, for making that effort. Really appreciate it.
Great. Any other questions for County Councilman Morell or comments? Boy, a 7.5-hour session. Well, thank you for those updates. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good work, though. Appreciate it. All right. Well, we have Councilman King here from the city of Puyallup. Do we have any updates to provide from the city?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Let's see. We have the Pioneer Park restroom project just started, and it is underway. It's a whopping $1.7 million that it's going to take to redo the bathroom there and make it more accessible for everybody and create a cleaner environment for everybody. But a lot of people have missed the point in the public, and we're working on trying to address that. That $1.5 million of that is being funded by a LIFT grant, which is a local infrastructure financing tool, and the remainder of the funds will come from the park capital improvement projects. And so a big portion of that will not be coming from that. So the Puyallup Loop Trail, they have a project underway here shortly, coming off of 23rd Street Southwest, that'll connect the trail. That is a $1.9 million project, and the city has requested $500,000 from the state. I don't have an update on that as to where that is yet, but maybe Representative Jacobsen could chime in on that later, just because I don't know that information. The city is also applying for a grant with the U.S. Department of Transportation to help fund the Shaw Road Improvement Project going up the hill to 23rd there, right there at Crystal Ridge. And then hopefully we can work on some sort of expansion and improvement on the glorified Shaw Road project all the way through that didn't seem to work out too great. That was before my time. Puyallup 101 class begins this Thursday. Registration is closed, but make sure you check back for our August class. And the Daffodil Parade was great last weekend. So that's all I got.
Hey.
Oh, and currently we are yesterday and today from 4 to 9 approximately. We are meeting at the Fairfield Inn off 15th Street for our council retreat. And there we'll be able to kind of cast our vision and the importance of certain issues and topics that are important to everybody and get all the council members on the same page.
Great. Is that something you do annually or every couple of years?
From what I understand is it has been done in the past. There was, I think, a modified version last year. Last year was my first year partaking in that. This is more of a formal setting where whereas last year it was kind of just a quick everybody's back type situation. But from what I understand, they have done council retreats in the past. So we will be there again for our second evening from 4 to 9. If anybody would like to join us, it is open to the public.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Awesome. I love it. And I want to thank you too. We were invited. I say we, the chamber. I had myself in a panel with Representative Kelly Chambers, Krista Linden out at Farm 12, and Justin Jones. The four of us were a panel that spoke to your study session, just bringing some great lessons learned from our city to city trip in Gilbert, Arizona last fall. So that was a fantastic opportunity to share some insight and really appreciated that. So our city to city trip this fall will be in Boise. So we will be visiting Boise and all the fantastic economic development, I guess, creations and developments they've created in their core there, but also kind of their surrounding communities, more interested in like the Nampa, Meridian, and Eagle areas would be, I guess, more in line with what Puyallup and Sumner looks like as far as an agricultural heritage community. And they're, doing some great things the way they're targeting businesses out there. Their food hall is phenomenal. I know a food hall would do really well in Puyallup or Sumner. So intrigued to learn some lessons there too, and hope that many of you on this call will take advantage of joining us for that Boise 3-day tour. It's a robust way to meet elected officials, their economic development department, kind of get the cheat sheet or template, if you will, on cities that have had a successful track record with development and creating true economic vitality. So little plug for that there.
It was a good
well,
presentation,
thank you,
and hopefully I don't have any conflicts coming this summer. I'd love to join you guys.
Yeah, it was great having you and the mayor aboard for sure, and Meredith Neal. All right, let's check in with our friends in Sumner. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good morning, Tara, and everyone. I'm doing good. And
good morning.
I too wanted to thank Representative Jacobsen and our Pierce County delegation for all their hard work down at the legislature. I've been tracking the housing bills more closely than anything else, but I can tell you our police chief appreciates anything that we can do for those pursuit bills and be able to free our officers up to pursue criminals as needed. So what we've got going on in Sumner, I'll start out with our disaster relief grants. So I've mentioned those before. The deadline for application was the 31st. We received 8 applications. If you recall, we had about 15 businesses impacted, 7 drastically impacted, and we had 8 applications from most all of those businesses. So I'm glad that they're able to pursue those grant dollars. I don't have a total. I have to kind of work this into Excel. Just got the list today and figure out what the total is, but happy that they were able to do that.
That's great.
More downtown things. The construction in our downtown continues to disrupt business to a certain degree. We're trying to communicate with our website, Better Roads Ahead, kind of which roads are going to be closed, which ones are open. Yesterday, they began half closure of Main Street. So all of our eastbound traffic is being diverted. We still have westbound traffic, so that's a good thing. So it doesn't look like Main Street's completely shut down. And then the Wood and Main intersection will be starting construction later this summer. And we've been kind of coordinating with the contractor on what that looks like. They'll actually provide a lot of on-street parking. They're going to do 90-degree pull-in parking right at the end of Main Street where it comes up to Wood Avenue. It'll be closed there, but a lot of parking for, honestly, probably more parking on the street with their plan than there is presently. So I'm hoping that is beneficial to those businesses there that are directly impacted at that intersection. So that's moving forward. We can't have enough construction going on in town. So Sound Transit is also planning on starting construction on their parking garage this summer as well, probably in August or September. And that'll be also a bit disruptive, but we are looking at the alternative plans for them in terms of parking and how they're going to move people around. A couple of things council's been working on, and I mentioned this last time too, the Pierce County Library is looking at building a new Sumner library, as we all know, and the council approved the library capital facilities area to be the city limits for the area for which people would vote for a levy, and it'd be $12 to $15 million levy. And they're planning on putting that vote out to the people in August. So we'll see how that rolls. They're doing their capital campaign right now. On the housing front, wanted to mention that we have a project at 1228 Friar Avenue. It's right on the river across from McClendon's and north of the library. They submitted for an 8-year multifamily tax exemption. So 8-year means they would be market rate apartments, 128 units. But the good news is, that adds to the supply, right? That's part of the benefit of having an MFTE. If it's not for affordable housing, but it is for market rates, that adds to the supply. And they're going to start construction this summer as well. We have that going on. Also, we continue to work through council with our housing action plan initiatives, which include increasing the number of short plats you can do. Instead of 4, you could do 9 lots. So that's going to help with supply, as well as increasing our options for what's called pipe stem lots, which are infill properties developed behind existing lots and houses. So excited to see that one continue to move forward. Council will be taking action on that at their next meeting. And a few other items, safe car parking. So we've had a church in town request to be able to do safe car parking, which is allows folks who are experiencing homelessness to stay safely in a place in their vehicle overnight and have some amenities there, restroom facilities, shower facilities. So there's a church interested in doing that. So we are going through the process of talking to our council about that and getting that in front of them, seeing how we want to move forward on that, or if we want to move forward on that, and then see about making some changes to our code if that's the case. We're also working on our 2024 comprehensive plan update, just like so many cities and county in the Puget Sound area. And that's going to Planning Commission for their first conversation about our vision and values and changes in that regard. And then finally, we're updating our parks and open space plan, and that's getting underway as well. The city will be hosting an open house April 25th, talk about a lot of these different projects. So April 25th from 5 to 7. And I'll just finish with the parallel life. I live with Puyallup. We just installed a new restroom at Loyalty Park. The Portland Loo. It's a one kind of
Portland
place,
Loo.
but let me tell you what, it is indestructible. In fact, our local graffiti artist decided to hit it with some tagging, and it just washes right off, which we're pretty happy about.
Woohoo!
$200,000 investment for an indestructible restroom, so we're pretty excited about that.
Nice.
That's all I've got.
Hey, that's a lot. Yeah,
How
I
much
got
for your
I got
restroom?
taken off guard a little bit by some of that detouring last night, heading to Top Down for a meeting.
How much did your restroom cost?
It cost about 150,000, and then with install and everything, I think we're about 200,000.
Boy, that's quite a disparity.
Well, it's only one toilet, so
Okay,
and it's
okay,
cold.
that-
It's certainly not weeded.
That
Intentionally
explains
so.
it then.
Yeah, the Portland Loo is like designed by the city of Portland to be an indestructible toilet. So that's what we decided to put in.
It sounds like a nice attraction there. Little tourism dollars. All right. Well, any questions for our city representatives from those on the call today? All right. Hey, that was a jam-packed GAC meeting today. Lots of good information. Appreciate, again, Representative Jacobsen for taking time today to be with us with those valuable updates, and County Councilman Morell, Councilman King. Thank you, Ryan. I know Jeff is here, but just listening today as he's recovering. So we wish you a speedy recovery there. Sean, thank you for your updates, and everyone else. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next month. Take care, everyone. Thank you.